I'm Eric Hayden.
I'm Nick Mason.
I'm Safer.
I'm Jake.
And this is Neon Static. Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 30 of Neon Static. And we are here for a very special conversation with two of the members of NSG that I asked specifically for their titles and then did not write them down.
I added it. Don't you worry.
Well, we'll have them. Oh, you're doing it right now?
It's in there.
So good.
See?
Good job.
Yeah, see?
We have Safer, who is the development lead and standard format curation lead. So for everyone who doesn't know who to complain to when a band gets made and you inevitably don't agree with it, that's Safer. Hi, Safer.
Hi. Don't worry. That already happens.
I know it has. I know constantly it does.
So let's talk about Bugalter. No.
Yeah. We need to have a serious conversation about how Bugalter did nothing wrong. And we have Jake, who's the deputy design lead. Hi, Jake. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. Good to be here.
And we're here today to talk a bit about the very exciting upcoming product Vantage Point that releases on March 2nd of this year, 2026. I'm very excited about this. How are you two feeling about it?
I am incredibly hyped for it. I think that this is going to be a really fun set, and I really am looking forward to seeing kind of how it shakes things up. I don't know. I also am just like curious to see how people react to it. So this is this is just like a really exciting set for me personally. I think all of them, I will probably always say that, but you know, the set is great.
And I would echo all of that. Feeling is 110% mutual. I'm incredibly proud of the work we did on this one. It's a first in a lot of ways. First for some of the new designers who have joined the team. It was my first set lead. It's the first for like a new way of making sets in the org. And I'm just so stoked for it to get into people's hands.
So am I. I guess just very briefly, since at least with Safer, we got the full version on his guest spot on the King's Court. Very quickly, like, what's your experience with Netrunner as far as how long have you been playing and like how long have you been part of NSG and in your role?
Great question. So how long have I been with NSG? I joined NSG, I think at this point, maybe a little over 2 years ago, would have been while Elevation was still being designed. Like I came in partway through Elevation's design work before it was handed off to dev. Before that, I was a playtester for Liberation. And in terms of my involvement with Netrunner, I have technically, despite missing ONR being a game that had like a community and was supported, I've technically played like every incarnation of the game. When I was a kid, I went to some like hole in the wall LGS in Virginia and found a dusty copy of the ONR starter set. I was already interested in game design at the time and heard that it was, sort of like a designer's game, and I bought it literally to read the rule book. Like there was no one who would play it with me. I think I goldfished hands with it and, I had lost it in some move later on, but I was like, this is really cool. And I was working at Red Cap's Corner in Philadelphia when FFG launched the starter set for their incarnation of the game. And I learned it because, you try to learn everything there to sell it. But a coworker and I were having such a good time with it. We learned the base game. We kept playing with all the deck building options inside. We moved it to a lot of customers that day, and then we stayed after the store closed and played more. And then we were like, hey, you want to go back to one of our places and keep playing this? And so some friends gathered, we kept playing, and at some point the sun came up. and we were like, this is a really good game. And
sounds like an amazing day.
And it's one of my favorites. It is a cherished moment, and it was the beginning of a beautiful relationship with Netrunner. This game has been probably the most important game in my life since then, and it's long been a dream to like help make it. So after I'd started getting more serious about design work and had done some freelance stuff, I applied to Null Signal a few years back, and I actually when the game died for FFG, I missed the memo on, at that time, Nisei being formed. But I remember joking with some friends about making fan expansions and keeping the game going just for like the Philly meta. And we were sort of like, oh, no, let's not do that. And so I slept on NSG for a little bit and realized, I think probably around the time that first Shut Up and Sit Down video came out, that wow, people really did that. And I was so overjoyed that, people had continued to support the game. And so came back as a player, then a playtester, and later a designer. So that's me.
Nice. So that NSG or the Shut Up and Sit Down video has definitely done a lot of work in bringing people back into the game or into the game in the first place. We did a video where we talked with people at Worlds last year, and like half of the people who I asked, like, how'd you get into Netrunner? They said, well, it was a video from Shut Up and Sit Down. So if you happen to listen to this, Tom and everybody over at Shut Up and Sit Down who put work into that video, thanks. Appreciate you. Also, Red Cap's Corner in Philly. Yeah. We've been there. We went there for East Coast Nationals 2 years ago. Were you there?
I was actually doing a little bit of helping organizing. Not actually one of the organizers, but Seba is our sort of a metamate and a local tournament organizer, pouch surfer in NSG, works on the translation team. And bit of bad news, Red Cap's actually just closed down. It should be reopened under new management relatively soon, but it closed on Christmas Eve. That was an iconic place for Philly Netrunner. It was Dan's shop, and it was
Dan Giorgeno.
Yeah. And a lot of the like old guard FFG era Netrunner players came from that shop and the meta that was there. And yeah, I remember the first regionals there. It was like a huge tournament that we never thought Netrunner was going to be that big. And it was like, we filled the first and second floor with players. I remember a team coming in from New York, all in trench coats, calling themselves the Panther Modems. Their team lead was wearing a Nintendo Power Glove. And
very good.
Yeah.
The most useless accessory to video games ever.
What are you talking about? It's so bad.
It was so bad. Okay. Well, that's awesome. And not awesome that Red Cap's Corner closed. That's a bummer, but
yeah,
I'm glad to hear that it'll be coming back. And yeah, when we were there for East Coast Nats, I recognized Dan from across the room. We didn't end up having a chance to talk, but I was like, oh, I know that guy. Safer, we have heard the longer, not we, but listeners to the King's Court will have known the extended version of how you've gotten into things and all that and your roles. But do you want to give us like a short version?
Sure. So for those of you that don't know, I go by Safer Online, and I've been the development team lead for a little while and joined NSG to do development during RWR's development. So kind of saw through RWR and then Elevation and now Vantage Point. I also starting, I guess, in Elevation roughly, about a year ago or so, I joined the standard balance team. Previously, we've decided to switch names, but we haven't done like a formal rebranding of it. So I joined the standard format curation team about a year ago, specifically to do lead stuff and help out with organizational stuff there, and have started taking a larger individual role with like actually helping do bandless testing and stuff like that as well. So yeah.
Nice. Thank you for both of you for making this game happen. It's a joy to play, and it wouldn't exist without people like you doing it. Not people like you. Without you, this wouldn't happen, right? So thanks again. So Nick, very briefly, we have a little bit of news that we want to go through. Do you want to take us through it?
Yes. So
in what segment?
The 24/7 news cycle. So there are a couple of tournaments coming up. The first one for us is coming up next Sunday on January 11th, 2026. It'll be a GNK at Midgard Hobbies and Games in Derry, New Hampshire.
It's not just any GNK,
it's
though.
A double GNK. So this is what, double prizing? Is that the double?
Yeah, a couple of us, me and Joel, bought the two new GNKs, the Q5 for 2025 and the Q1 for 2026 off of NPC. And I'm using all four of those cards as prize support, which is, I think it's Auto Campaign, Friend of a Friend, Biowalk, and Azamat are the four cards in full art from those sets, plus other prizes that we have around. So if you're in the New England area, come up for a fun standard tournament. It's a great first tournament. If you haven't been out to one, we have some new players that unfortunately it sounds like they might not be able to be there. I'm really hoping they can make it. But yeah, if you've been hesitant about coming to a tournament, this will be the lowest stakes possible. Everybody's going to get prizing if you show up.
Yeah.
So consider doing that. We're not too many in-person events in the New England area right now for a little bit. So the lack of the half two CTKs, the casual tournament kits, was tough on us up here, I think, because we had a kind of a drought of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's coming back. I know everybody's working on that. More news though, right?
Yeah, well, there is more news. The next big tournament after that, because obviously our GNK is the next big tournament. Everyone knows. Just the biggest.
It's double the
Exactly.
GNK. It's so big.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a more stuff Oreos of GNKs. The next one after that is the CBI, the Circuit Breaker Invitational. So if you are, I don't know, like me maybe, you're going to have to watch that one instead of playing in it. But if you wanted to do that, it would be Saturday the 17th and Sunday the 18th of January. So that next weekend. So check it out. CBI, always good times. Lots of good gameplay. Generally streamed. I don't know if anyone is streaming it this year, and I probably should have checked that. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. I just didn't know.
There's no way it's not being streamed.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I assume on the NSG YouTube. If not there, then someone from the community will pick it up. But
yeah. It'll be streamed somewhere. You'll find it in GLC. The other one after that, we've got awarded districts here in New Hampshire, which is in fact the only districts in New England. So if you want some of the prize support from districts, but you don't want to leave New England because a witch put a curse on you and you can't leave arbitrarily defined geographic boundaries, you're going to have to come to Midgard on April 12th to get your district prize support. And yeah, it's going to be fun.
that is a Sunday.
Sunday.
And the prize support is a scrounge playmat, raindrops cut stone featuring definitely not repurposed Bonkar art.
Nope.
and fully operationals are the pretty much everybody's getting fully ops, I think. I don't know the quantities exactly, but there's a lot of fully ops. And then there's fewer raindrops, and then obviously the mats are more exclusive. Oh, it's top 24 get the fully ops.
There you go.
So our cap is 32. If you are interested in coming to the only districts in New England, which wild.
You should.
I thought there'd be a Boston one too, but there's not.
They got the mega city, so
they got mega cities. But yeah, anyway, then DM me. I'm the ABR is not up yet. It will be, but we do have the cap. If you know that you want to come to that and you like, I'm dedicated. Send me a DM and I'll keep track of those people. But I'll have a way of officially doing ticketing when I get it all set up.
Oh,
that's enough. Yeah.
Eric, I'm gonna be there, so put me down for one.
All right, Nick.
We have a cap
one.
of 31 people.
32
minus
Wait,
one.
You're helping
because I'm there.
Oh, you were going to help me do. You were going to help me do mega cities if we got it. But yes, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I'm going to be around.
I'm not sure if I'll need a second person not to play.
Yeah, it's fair.
All right, that's our exciting news. And remember, if you are playing in the CBI because you got one of those now much more exclusive CBI invites, then come to Double G&K and you can practice your decks and get your tournament links back on.
There you go.
All right, that's all the stuff we have. We're going to go straight into the depths to talk about Vantage Point now. Before we steal their thunder, what always happens with these interviews that we've, like in the last time we had Safer on the podcast, we talked about elevation and the patrons submitted a bunch of questions and then we asked our questions and then had a whole conversation. At the end, we put the patron questions. And then by that time, most of them had already been answered. So to give these folks their credit for coming up with these fantastic questions for you all, which is something that we do for our patrons when we have an interview. We didn't give them much notice on this one. To be fair, we gave them about an hour's notice.
We actually like moments ago, someone popped up to complain that they were playing in the New Year's showdown. And
Yes, Seth, what are you doing to me? It's currently the New Year's showdown.
Yep.
Well, Cephalopod, you're in NSG, so you got all this.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
So, Not Yeti asks, what card from the last rotation do the two of you miss the most? And do you think its hole is being filled in Vantage Point?
All right, I think I can dive in here. There's sort of a boring answer, which is some of the bread and butter stuff like legwork or inside job that left with update. But I think to not give the boring answer of just like the elegant sort of bread and butter cards, I miss Acer Group a lot. And whether its hole is being filled in Vantage Point, I would say not exactly, but a package of cards with that playstyle in mind is some of which has been shown off already in, say, things like Corner of the Market, is going to receive some support in this set. And I'd like to see that back in the deck building options we have. Safer?
I don't. My problem is that I was having a hard time thinking of exactly what it was, and then you said inside job and legwork, and I went, yes, exactly those things.
Yeah.
So and
Just
then you said ASO group,
good.
and I was like, I wasn't even there, but sure, yeah. I think I'm going to go more for like a vibes like playstyle thing. I actually wasn't 100% around for it, so it's like not entirely genuine for me to say like I missed this, but I miss like a Wayland like rush. Just like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to burn this thing to the ground as fast as possible, which I think was played out of, I don't know, it was like a bad pub like archetype. But like, I'm thinking about like this wasn't from the last meta. I'm thinking of like, you know, the original like Brendel things. I think that's my answer. In terms of like, will we see more of that stuff in the set? I think the ASO group one is a really good thing. I think it's like we're trying to make sure that there are play styles that weren't previously there, especially on the corp side, and bring those things back. So I'm really looking forward to that. So.
Cool. Yeah, I can't not answer this too, even though the question's not for me. But inside job you both mentioned, and it is my number one missed card, I think. But Clot is also a thing that I miss. I miss Clot. I miss that there is a counter to fast advance. And I'm hoping that we see something like that soon, if not in the next set. Return of a Clot-like entity would be cool.
I will say that I don't miss the card Clot itself, like in any way, shape, or form. Coming like with like a, you know, game design hat on it. I think like black or white, silver bullet, like tech cards are not it. Also like timing chicken, you'd have to do a whole bunch of things that like, it's just kind of a mess.
Look, in Clot's defense, Clot was fine. It's Simulchip and SMC and all the other shaper nonsense that was the problem. Okay.
Wow, hard to disagree with all of this. I think that Clot was a major skill expression card that like sort of separated the very serious players from the not very serious players. And I know that that's difficult to deal with from an approachability standpoint, but I did like that card. It's the answer to fast advance. So like hard silver bullet that feels tough. That feels hard on Clot to me in his defense.
Wait, it was
very silver bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clot is a card that I think NSG looks at a lot and is trying to learn from the standpoint of how do we build tech cards in a way that they have meaningful impacts on a matchup, but they don't define it, and that we can still fulfill that role without some unintuitive rules interactions that are a challenge for onboarding new players. It's definitely one that we're learning from. So,
yeah, I very much hear where you're coming from like the perspective of, I wish there was something in the game that made it so that Nebula actually had to build a remote. And for that take, 110% agree. Right.
Well, that's a big part of why I'm saying this.
Right, exactly. And it's like Clot in the format would do that. But like my biggest problem with Clot is actually not the simulchip interactions. It's not that those existed. It's that was the only primary way of using Clot.
Right.
If you couldn't produce it at instant speed, criminals didn't traditionally have a way of producing it at instant speed. They didn't play Clot. Like that's, it's not just the timing chicken stuff and like needing to understand what is happening in the game before it happens and all that other stuff. It is the fact that it was so specific of a card that you required other specific pieces to make it even worthwhile. And then once you had that, it basically just told the corp like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Just very quickly before we move on, I think that what I'm looking for is an answer to fast advance. I don't know what form that takes. That could be very different, but like, you know, the inevitability of someone who you know has a nano management in hand is going to win the game very soon. If you can't find an agenda or get rid of that card or something, you know, maybe that's operation trashing, or maybe it's some other thing, right? It doesn't need to be Clot shaped, but an answer to fast advance would be cool. Anyway, that's all I'm for. But we have so many more questions for you that I will try to give less opinions on. But I'm glad we had this discussion.
Well, I mean, you actually ask a question that's kind of similar to the next question. So Wenjong asks, is there a shift into or out of focus that the game should gravitate towards what's on the board versus what's on the hand, and why? So I asked for a little bit of clarification here. Wendrung said, should there be more or less cards like Extract in Wayland so Corp can double measured response out of nowhere or from low credits? Does Dev want that kind of combo hypothesizing to exist more in the game on both sides or less?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting question. I don't think Jake and I have talked about this, so I'm curious to hear what you have to say after this, Jake. But for me, I think that these are kind of two separate things. I think hand traps, I think of them as hand traps on both sides of the table, can be bad. I think that Ari is a really great example of an identity that does it incredibly well and is incredibly justified. It is a specific subtype that then like hones your window as like the corp player from going like, oh, these are the things I should probably expect. And it gives you, the runner, like the ability to react on board and create surprises and like create these really dynamic game states where it is about the eye-to-eye, player-to-player interaction, which I think that is a great example about what's in hand mattering. We've tested things in the past where it wasn't as related in Baz. I don't know if we ever told this story, but like Baz originally was a hardware. No, it was like a program in the very first handoff of Elevation, actually. It wasn't on ID and it was in criminal and it didn't have a type restriction. You can install any card. And we found, what we found is that, anything that was in your hand, you could just produce it at instant speed. And like that was like way too far in the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really comes down to a balance. And that's where the extract portion comes in, where extract double measured, the exact quote is out of nowhere. And the reason for that is that is something, a play that's supposed to be expensive, but specifically in New Vem, you can do it from like, I think it's 2 credits, if I'm not mistaken.
Lately out of Ob too.
Well,
out of Ob, you can do it as well.
You would need 3 for the extract, right? To start it.
Yeah, but I'm saying the extract double measured, triple measured thing out of Scrobs and Ob.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's like playing around specific credit totals. That's fun. That's interesting. When the corp can start their turn at 0 credits, no assets on board, or 1 credit, 2 credits, no assets on board, and then produce double measured. That's something that I would definitely want to avoid doing. If something like a playtest pattern came up like that, I would have my eye like really close on it and be like, I'm not sure if this is going to be okay or not.
Jake, anything on that?
I would agree with all that. So this question was like phrased toward Dev, but like from a design perspective, I would say that again, I think the question is sort of speaking to multiple things, and that they're not necessarily in competition, right? It's not necessarily like a zero-sum game here. I think there is a push toward getting the corp in particular to commit more to the board. And I think that's for a couple of reasons. In the post-Big Yeet environment, we saw corps, or at least some part of this new meta, feeling like they couldn't score, they couldn't really build boards that they could keep safe, and that therefore they were pushed onto less interactive, less core gameplay pillar game plans. And all those other plans, going incredibly wide, having a flatline combo, those are great, but they should be something that is supplanting and not supplanting, or supplementing, not supplanting the being able to commit to the board, score cards, and protect them. And so, while I think there is a push to put a little bit more of that back in, a lot of what makes playing against a corp and Netrunner really cool is managing the possibility space. Like, where are the agendas? Well, if there's a board and a full grip, or full HQ, then that's a more interesting possibility space. The same thing is true of like, do they have it or not with the double measured? Can they get up to the credit threshold they need to threaten me? There's good tension there. Too much of that tension can make for a game that's unfun and too opaque for like new players to break into. And I would also say this is something that the answer to this question varies based upon which factions and which archetypes we're talking about. There are discussions going on within NSG right now about like which factions are really committed to the board and which can threaten wins and kills out of hand. So context would matter in answering this question. And for some factions like HB, I think there is a push to get them to be a little bit more on board, or maybe historically they haven't been as much. But for other factions, there is that sort of do they have it or not in hand that we're trying to play up as good tension.
They always have it. Jinxie asks, What were design/devs priorities for Vantage Point to be successful?
Ooh. Safer, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to take it first. So I think the number one most important one is just corps having more viable options for how they would win the game. Corps having more agency in game, like during gameplay as well, is another really big one. So corporation as like a side was definitely our primary, like, I'm not going to say is our primary focus, but it making sure that corps have the tools that they need to be successful was one of the largest priorities that we can consider like a goal for the set. The other thing that I'm going to say that I don't know if Jake will or not is that the way that this set came about was very unique. And the way that we've collaborated, like everyone in the studio department has collaborated for this set on Vantage Point, will make all of our future sets better. So it sounds like weird, but like the next set and how well we communicate on the next set, I think will actually also tell us how well our new processes that we use specifically for VP end up being.
100%. Yeah. Would echo all of that. I think two of the things that Safer just mentioned would have been in my answer as well. Like the last one, this idea of like what is our workflow as an organization? How does dev and design collaborate? That was something that we tried something that was a departure from the past for in this set. And I think was like, well, it's still something that we're going to be revising, was really successful and is part of the kind of cool behind the scenes story of this set's creation. And I hope it will result in a quality to what was made that players will feel, even if they won't really be able to see that process, right? Because I think it let us leverage the knowledge we've gained and the people power we have in the org in a way that like we hadn't been able to do in the past. And that's really like an invisible metric for success for this set. The other one, as Saber said, is we want to make corps have the tools they need. And specifically for like my part in this, it was thinking about like, how do we make scoring possible and fun? You know, like an adage we use a lot is like, let's make the good way to play the right way to play, right? Or the fun way to play the right way to play, maybe is a better way to say it. And also texture like, hey, every corp now has a way to score that feels uniquely like how that corp would do it. And then speaking runner side, I think another metric success for this one was creating deck diversity, lateral shifts in what players can choose to do. Because as the card pool shrunk, yes, we saw runner's advantage, but we also saw that a lot of runner IDs just didn't they lost the cool janky card or that one piece of the engine that let them function, or a ban, you know, like poor Phoenix gets caught in the crossfires of a ban where like that ID is just out of the game, right? So thinking about some of these underserved IDs, underserved archetypes, and giving them these sort of like lateral shifts in the deck building packages we offer players to allow some of those things to come back onto the table was another metric I had for are we being successful in this set. And then the last thing, and I'm sure Safer you'd echo this, is just a set that's elegant, that the cards, there's a tightrope walk that this set tries to walk that I think we did on the whole successfully, which is these cards are elegant enough that a new player can pick them up and grok them, and yet they're designed to be injected into a standard environment with intention to be, in many cases, playable cards that will have an impact on the organized play scene, and therefore have lots of like emergent discovery, even though like they might be few words. Their applications are diverse and wide, and they're relevant, they're powerful. And so, you know, walking that balance is one of the things that like when we felt like we were doing both with the design, we're like, okay, cool, this is a Vantage Point card.
Yeah, I totally agree. This almost, in some ways, while coming up with cards and iterating on the cards, I think felt like almost like a continuation of Elevation, in the sense that we were focused in on making the core, like hooking into the core systems of Netrunner, like, you know, synchro cyclotron, the HB asset that
hyperpositional cyclotron.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yes,
I believe.
Yes,
whatever the cyclotron card is.
I like synchro cyclotron though.
It's whatever the card is named. Whatever the card is named. The stuff isn't on our DB yet, so I can't actually like look it up. But the cyclotron card, it is
Superpositional
cyclotron. Thank you. It is such a simple and elegant card, but like what it does is like really unique and explosive and allows for you to do things that you just wouldn't be able to do normally. But if you think about the mechanical themes that are kind of present throughout this set, are all tied into like the core elements of Netrunner. So you have like caring about, agendas being scored and stolen. You have things like the double operations. You have things like the stealth credits, right, which are just kind of specialized credits. You have kind of all of these different mechanical hooks that add layers and texture to the game. And that is like some of what Runner was missing. We saw a lot of Reg Crim this year. And we saw a lot of, Reg Anarch, and like a lot of people just putting like economy and draw and dolls in their deck. So on the Runner side, we want to see more wacky things. We want to see runners be able to like experiment and get a little crazy and like go into their own like bespoke packages.
Nice. Superpositional cyclotron, elegant once a specific little diamond gets put on the card, which I understand that it might have done.
Yes, it has. It has a diamond on it.
That's good. Even if it wasn't strictly necessary, it sure was nice.
Yeah.
Also, with you talking about adding support to maybe underrepresented factions, Jake, I look forward to seeing what Synapse gets to make it a playable ID. That'll be nice. I'm looking forward to that specifically, and I'm going to hold you to that unspoken promise.
So, Flood the Market, which has been revealed, Synapse is one of the homes that we expect to see it in.
Nice, cool. Yeah. Look forward to experimenting with that. If you look at my recap from JNet, I have a whole lot of losses in yellow on like 1 week where
you were trying so hard,
like a stubborn dog to make Synapse work, and it didn't.
Speaking of factions, which factions are you guys most hyped for Vantage Point? Also, I should credit Jinxie's question.
This is can I cheat in this and give more than one answer? Do I have to pick one?
No.
Do it.
Fine.
Okay.
Do it.
No. One faction.
One faction? Oh, wow. Laying down the law. All right.
Okay. Can you at least give me one on each side?
Yes.
Thank you for being so generous.
I am generous.
I will say that I am particularly excited for how Anarch's going to serve some underserved IDs in this set.
Ooh.
And on Corp's side, oh man, tough to pick, but I'm going to say, because it's probably the most mysterious answer I can give, I'm very excited on what's going to happen to HB because of some cards that aren't from HB.
I don't even know what that. I'm curious. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're.
Yeah,
Flood the market into poetry or something.
I mean, that is certainly among it. Yeah.
Is it?
But
is it a Wayland card?
Yes, and MBN. So yeah, I would say Flood is definitely something that I'm excited to put into purple decks. Top-down Flood is something that I am hoping to be doing a lot in my locals.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think single faction that I'm most excited for, I think, is NBN. Yeah.
You can't see it, but I just did a little fist pump, so.
I'm really, really excited about what the faction's theme is. Both mechanically, I think it's going to be pretty cool and give NBN kind of like a different way of playing than what they have right now. But I also just really love the art on it. I enjoyed the concepts in playtesting, but once I saw the art on the cards, I was like, I'm playing this. This is what I'm playing day one. So NBN is like its own section above everything else. And then on the runner side, I'm a criminal stan. So like there's a card in the criminal pool that was the very first card of the set that I designed with Zoe when we were at Gamma earlier this year. I like had this concept and I was like, what if we revisited some concepts and like allowed for criminals to use cards from like a different faction while revisiting old archetypes and concepts? And like, what if it looked like this? And then that card design ended up basically being like the very first card of like Vantage Point before we even knew that Vantage Point was going to exist. So I'd like criminals for that. And I think it'll be fun to play as well. But it's not the same like level of excitement that I have for like NBN.
I'm glad you said it, because yeah, that's a rare example of like just a really cool, elegant design that came up early and made it all the way through pretty much without a massive amount of change.
Yeah.
You're allowed to be proud of a personal achievement.
Thank you.
Yeah, you did good. I'm sure you did. I can't wait to find out how good you did.
I think I did pretty good.
Nice.
I think I did pretty good.
That's confidence.
Safer did very good.
Good. Neither asks, since Vantage Point is an injection and a standalone product, how long can we expect it to stay in the card pool for? So like questions about rotation in Vantage Point, since it's a unique thing.
So this will rotate at the same pace as our normal sets do. How long? Well, Ashes has been in the card pool for a very long time. But you can expect a normal rotation schedule so System Gateway and Elevation are outside of that schedule, right? They're evergreen products. Vantage Point is not an evergreen product, but it does provide like a lot of like foundational things. So like if you tell me like, Ben, like you have to go think about like what's happening in like 5 to 10 years from now, then like we'll figure out what we're going to do when Vantage Point rotates. But
I think the reason why this might be something that Neither's asking is that it's not like a full cycle's worth of cards. So would it supplant an entire cycle's worth of rotation, or would it get lumped together with another cycle?
Yeah. So
since it's one set.
So this is, I think Jink mentioned earlier, like that this is a first for us in a lot of ways. And one of the first is, this is the first time we've done a standalone, not evergreen set. So this will be the set, and then the set after Vantage Point will have no mechanical, narrative, or thematic relation to Vantage Point. And based off of how well this goes, based off how it's received, we may stray from our typical 2-set cycle in the future again when it makes sense. So we made Vantage Point to solve specific issues. And that's one of the reasons why you will see cards that react to like where the game was earlier this year. Keep in mind that most of our set cycle is like a 2-3 year process. We don't usually get the opportunities to react to stuff that was happening in the meta literally earlier this year. And Vantage Point was us saying like, we think that we need to do this. We think that the game is going to be a lot better when we have these tools and we make it so that these foundational pieces that were lost in rotation are put back into the pool in new and exciting ways. All of this is to say that we don't necessarily know. In 2 years, we'll probably be able to look back and say like, okay, this is exactly what Vantage Point meant for how we release cards in the future. But like for now, we expect this to basically be like a one-off. Shouldn't dictate future patterns, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like to not put too fine a point on it, it's like assume situation normal, but like this is like a promising experiment where like the aspiration here is that like we can have a workflow where something can be even better than before while maintaining creating an agility that then lets us reserve capacity as well for more ambitious experimental stuff that can happen in other releases down the road. We'll be watching this closely to see how it goes. We're really hopeful about it. And that kind of alternating like small, large set thing could become a new norm. But right now, assume the typical release schedule and rotation schedule. And I think also the interest right now is growing the card pool before the next rotation.
Yeah. Next up, we've got a really deep and I think well-phrased question here from Evil Brennan. If stealth is go, where is Noisy?
I think I can take this one to start with.
Take this one.
So this feels like a little bit more of a design thing. As someone who is really jonesing on original Netrunner right now, I can say that we're actually talking about Noisy, like doing some incubation on it. So it's not totally out of the conversation.
Can you give those who aren't familiar an idea of what Noisy was as a mechanic in ONR?
Sure.
Wait,
yeah.
What?
So
wait, is this a thing?
Yeah. No,
I thought
figured
this
Nick
was
didn't
just
know.
talking about noise, like the.
No,
Okay,
there was
yeah.
noisy breakers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun history of Netrunner design. So in original Netrunner, Richard Garfield Netrunner, there were kind of like two classes of breakers. Some that had the noisy tag and some that did not. So instead of having the distinction between a standard breaker and a stealth breaker, there were breakers that could use any kind of credit and breakers that were noisy and therefore could only use sources of credits that were in your core pool or not on cards that were sort of flavored to be stealthy. So maybe you'd install a resource called like very, very quiet that would have 2 recurring credits on it, but those credits could only be used on non-noisy breakers. And if you used a noisy breaker, not only would you have to find another source of credits for that card, you would need to sacrifice some of those credits on your any of those like stealth credit sources. So you had this sort of dichotomy between less efficient breakers that could use a wider variety of credits and these really hyper efficient breakers that you couldn't spend all your credits on and that maybe would have some drawbacks if you hadn't set up your board or deck building properly to use them. And thus far, we have not seen that in any of the other incarnations of the game. But it is something that is always sort of being talked about internally because it's kind of a cool idea.
So this is just so I'm kind of understanding it. It's kind of like the opposite of stealth, right? I guess like where, it everything was presumed to be stealth, I guess, kind of. And noisy was, it can't use things that are noisy. That's interesting. That's interesting as like a turnaround for it. Yeah, sort of an inversion of how we used it in the FFG and NSG, era. So, but they could use your actual credit pool. Yes. Okay. In fact, that was sort of very typically, with few exceptions, that was sort of the only thing you could use on those. So, like for instance, in the original version of the game, your sort of Chesvas were only stealth credits, and it would be rare to find a card that gave you a source of recurring credits that you could use on a noisy breaker. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
And your Chesva literally was a card called Very, Very Quiet.
Yes. Or Wait, really? Cloak, or
I just like that was the official name.
I think it's so funny that I think Evil Brendan asked this question and probably was expecting like a 30-second joke response. And, and you get like...
and actually got...
You get like an actually like well thought out, interesting response.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. On noisy breakers.
So Cluedrew asks, how are the two of you feeling about Elevation now that it has been out for a while and has been through Worlds?
Oh man, great question. So, I mean, I feel good about Elevation. I think that it is so easy as a creator to look at all of the mistakes and things that you could have done differently. But given the timeline that it had, given the scope that it had, given all the requirements and everything that was happening at the time, I'm still really, really proud of all the work that we did for that. I think that we've seen some good metas like within Elevation, and that's been really awesome to see. I'm still really excited about kind of like what's to come and building upon it and like fleshing it out, because I do feel like, there's just some things that feel like they're kind of like missing from the game. Like this kind of like intangible, like it feels like the card pool is like too small. But I think Elevation as a like product, especially within the context of like System Gateway plus Elevation, I feel good about it, even though, man, do I wish that we were a digital game sometimes. Like, oh man,
the things you could do
those little like, we should add like one more cost to this or anything like that.
Make a ID flip back or something like that after Windows ended. I don't know.
Interesting. Maybe add the word archives to the same ID somewhere.
I don't know. We had that.
I don't know. Yeah, it's thoughts, but yeah.
I think Elevation is a really good set, and I think there's a lot of success stories that came from it. It was the first set that I worked on coming here, so it's always going to have like a really special place in my heart. But it also means something really special for the organization, right? Because it's heralding this era where like we're exclusively working with NSG cards. For all the foibles and like stumbling blocks and learning experiences that entails, I hope the community gets to share in that feeling that like it's really cool that we're at that point. There's something pretty liberatory and there is an accomplishment there that's worth celebrating. But, as we alluded to earlier, the large rotation the shrinking of the card pool, it hit Corps in particular hard. It forced them onto secondary gameplay pillars and game plans, and sometimes led to uninteractive, less than ideal metas or decks or gameplay experiences. I've been very aware of, for instance, the reaction to Nebula, which, the dichotomy between how like new players react to that and the core audience reacts to that is such a huge gulf that there's like so many things we can learn from that. And coming from the design perspective, it's like, that's not a bad thing. Something that is really true about NSG, I think, is that like every set that comes out, we get better at making Netrunner and we learn things. And Elevation, I feel like, gives us almost like more data about that than anything that's come out before. It certainly has done that for me. So I feel on the whole good about it, even with some of the things that if I could go back and do them again, I'd do them differently.
So Dave Baresh asks, why is now the right time to reintroduce the stealth mechanic? So kind of the opposite of where is noisy.
Yeah, I think broadly, Vantage Point is looking at a lot of returning mechanics, stealth being just one among them. And I think there's several ways to answer this question. Again, from the design perspective, one is that with the rotation, we have some vestigial elements in the card pool that need support, especially as we look at what, say, the rotation of Ashes will do to the card pool. And the other thing is that while some people really dislike stealth, for every mechanic, it has its proponents and its detractors. And for a lot of people, like stealth is something I looked at hard when we were doing research for this product. And it's a lot of people's favorite deck, and it's for the same reasons other people's least favorite mechanic. And so that's a cool challenge when we have a set that is a little bit more focused on gap filling and near printing and that kind of thing, to go look at historical precedent and say, hey, for some player personas, this is the thing they really miss. This is the thing they want back. This is where their happiest memories of Netrunner sit. And how can we give them that while also learning from what people didn't like about the mechanic in the past in a way that makes it have broader appeal? I guess I feel like the reason why now is A, the hole is there. We have an opportunity to fill it. That is in many ways part of the mandate and remit of this set. And we now have the knowledge base with the rotation of some of these older cards and decades of history of the game to look at, to know how we think we might do it better than it's been done in the past.
Really excited to see what the new incarnation of stealth looks like.
Yeah, and I don't know how granular, Safer, you'll kind of guide me here to go into that, but we could talk about at some point in this call, like what were some of the takeaways from looking at the historical precedents of stealth?
I think we should. Why not?
Yeah, for sure.
I guess to try to do it as succinctly as possible, there's a kind of player who really, they played Smoke right up until the moment that we told them they couldn't do it in organized play anymore. I remember seeing those people at the Nats in Philly. They took that deck out for one last go because they were so sad to see it go. Because stealth presents some really cool opportunities and deck building challenges. There's like this kind of A-B sequencing challenge. There is this promise of, hey, if I can build this really cool engine, which is part of the core Shaper fantasy, I get this incredible efficiency and this bespoke machine that's just really humming, thriving. But at the same time, that A-B mechanic creates clunk. It creates a sequencing problem that can lead to non-games. That's why Smoke is such a beloved ID, because it in many ways removes the question of why do I want to install a stealth breaker before I have access to my first stealth credit. And stealth was really great when you had the engine online and your opponent was rezzing ice. But there are a lot of matchups for which that mechanic can feel really polarizing. Like if you're playing against a Glacier deck and you need to like break through some Doom remote for pennies, a fully fledged stealth deck is great at that. But if you're playing asset spam or a deck that is trying to interact with you on some other vector, stealth could feel really myopic. You were tunneled into breaking ice really efficiently, at like a 3-to-1 ratio, but you can't really do anything else with it. And you're out-taxed by a deck that is out-taxing regular runner decks on some other metrics. And so a big thing we looked at was, A, how do we create unique ways for each faction to interact with stealth? And how do we give stealth something to do that is utilitarian besides breaking ice? So that hopefully we can take some of those players who weren't interested in the promise of efficient breaks and give them something else to do with the mechanic. And also maybe give them reasons to build fully fledged stealth decks, as well as to maybe just include a sprinkling of stealth as a little toolkit among a more reg. And that would be the short answer to like sort of the changing philosophy about how we can think about the utility and applications of stealth.
I just want to jump in and apologize to Safer for having to follow that answer up because god damn,
Right?
how eloquent could you have been about talking about stealth?
Did you,
Oh, 100%.
Did you? Were you quoting from an essay you've been working on, or?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, and I'll credit Safer with this. So this was the first set where, like, again, I got to serve as a design lead for the set, but it was also my first time shadowing with the dev team, getting a sense of what they do. And dev, obviously, design, we're a little more front loaded. We're very into the sort of emotional, macro, big picture play pattern side of the game. Dev gets really into the nitty gritty, the granular. They have a much more like data driven approach. And so like the research and the deep dives we got to do on things in the dev process are something that was like hugely instructive for me. And it's where like how I'm able to speak to that here comes from. It's not something that like I bring to the table. It's something that I get to learn from the dev team in collaboration with them, which again is part of what's really cool about how this set was created.
Yeah. Big agree, by the way, on phenomenal answer. What ends up happening when you're working on these is that Jake is the one that did the deep dive on stealth while we were figuring out what we were going to do with it for the set. And you end up having to like do the research. You think really critically about the stuff. You then bring it to a panel of people. You have to basically present your case and basically like make a pitch. It's not like a formal pitch, but you're presenting it to other people that have differing opinions and have different experiences of stealth. And through that process, you end up cementing it really well in your head about what are the problems and like what is going on. So it's like I could give like a full day talk on like measured response because of how deep I went into the weeds on that card. Whereas I couldn't tell you the exact same stuff on stealth because I only engaged with it on like a medium level, I would say, as far as like creator process. But Jake was like the stealth person. And I mean, Jake did more than just stealth in the set, right? We all had our like different pieces that we focused on to make sure that we could get the set rolling and like go from like we made the set from concept to the V1 hitting playtest, I think in 2 months, which is an insane feat. Anyways,
I just want to jump in and give credit to other members of the team too. Like lots of people did the research on stealth. I think I did the first like design-based research report on it, but Dividus did a ton on it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I know IAMS took a good look at it. So I think like there's just a lot of folks who get credited with that like very thorough research that went into.
He's eloquent and he's humble, folks. Oh my God.
I agree. I mean, I was also going to say that Jake is awesome, and this was the set we got to work really closely with one another, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed working with Jake.
Likewise.
All right, now talking about stealth. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the health of the mechanic. Stealth is a really interesting one. I encourage people to go onto NRDB and just do a simple search for stealth and see, like, look at all the cards, see how many of them were. Like, there's only, I don't remember the exact number, but it's like 10 or 13 stealth cards in like the history of the game. Something really small. And you look at them and you go, oh, all of these are like breakers, or at least ones that use stealth credits. And it's so fascinating to see how something that was such a small percentage of the card pool and actually fairly narrow in scope had such a avid fan base, like how it really connected with players. I'm really happy with what we did with stealth, but like this is when players are so excited about a mechanic, like we have to go back to it. We have to reintegrate it. We have to do it kind of our own way and try to improve upon it. We get to stand on like the shoulder of giants, making sure that people who really enjoy stealth get to trash assets efficiently and giving like each faction like their own way of kind of interacting with stealth. So going back to like the why now, there's a really interesting thing with like Ashes. Ashes was made to support like a FFG card pool. And that's one way you can think about it, is that Ashes was there to supplement mechanics that were a part of like a FFG standard. So you have things like stealth that were there designed to give more context to FFG cards. When those FFG cards rotated, those cards lost their support. So when we were looking at the set and we were thinking about how do we make it so that we can make the set as fast as we want to make the set, and how can we make it so that the set is as efficient as possible in terms of like making other cards playable. So introducing a brand new card with a brand new concept that doesn't interact with old concepts that are in Ashes is like one new card. But when you have a card that can be used in a bunch of different contexts, including supporting cards that were underplayed since they lost their context in Ashes, okay, now we have 2 new cards worth of things being reintroduced into the card pool instead of like 1 card. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, the example that I immediately comes to mind, because it is one of the few stealth cards I've seen see play since the rotation, is Mantle, which does still see a little bit of play for charging twinning on off turns. But like even then, a lot of times they're not playing the after image or the other cards that could be used in a similar way.
What? Usually there's an after image in those decks.
You'll see it, yeah, but I feel like even then you'll probably have like a backup echelon or something if you need it, you know?
Yeah, and just quick fact check on you, Safer. There are 11, in the history of Netrunner, 11 stealth generators, and there are 12 stealth user cards. Okay. And that's it. It's 23 total cards.
Annoyingly, those are not stealth type.
Right,
no, they're not.
Right.
No.
So they have stealth in the text, not the type, or subtype rather.
It's funny they could remember the number 11 that that well.
Oh, you know what, Eric? There's actually Netmerker is both. So I guess that one is the one.
Oh, okay.
It is a stealth. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of them are Shaper.
And then a couple of there's like Taka. And
I'm mostly Shaper. You're right.
Yep.
Have we waxed enough poetic about stealth, I guess? So this one, we're out of patron questions here. This one actually is from Nick, but I will ask it because I put my name in front of it. Can you talk about the new design process? You alluded to this new design process, and I'm curious to hear if you can like say a little bit about what it was. Pull back the curtain. What's new? What's different? And what should players expect from it?
So yeah, I want to be careful here and not saying too much, but I think like historically NSG, and some of this again, grain of salt here because I'm a relatively new member of the org in the grand scheme of things, but I think previously sets were made in a more siloed process, and that leaves a lot of the knowledge and the potential for collaboration on the table. We've always had this separation between dev and design that involves a handoff. And there's always been communication between the teams and people liaising between the two of them. But if there was a breakdown in communication there, or there wasn't as much of it, there's issues there. So this set is it's a trial run and a development of a little bit more of a collaborative process, one where consultants from each teams are staying with each other, where we're meeting and talking with each other so much more than we did in the past, where we have refined the workflow to not just be design makes a V0, hands it to dev devs it, and takes it to playtest. The new model is now kind of a 4-step process, what we're calling vision, which is where effectively anyone from the org can be part of pitching new product ideas. And the reorg leadership can weigh in and determine which of those is the right thing to sequence into our pipeline. The shaping process, which is totally new and highly collaborative. It's an early part where we're making initial design documents and set skeletons and things like that, where members of all the card creation teams are working together really intensively. And that's kind of where that really intensive 2 months that Schaefer was referring to was sort of being tried out for the first time. Then there's the old design and dev steps, but with more of a, hey, there's going to be consultants and subject area experts and skill shares that are happening between the two teams, so that we can leverage the strengths of both. We're talking about synchronously and asynchronously like so much more. I think it lets us broadly and aspirationally make sets that are better and quicker and more professional than what we've done in the past. And I think it's something that, again, is still under revision. There are new sets that are being worked on behind the scenes right now that are getting to try revised versions of what we did for Vantage Point, learning from the successes and failures of this set. And I just think it has so much promise and allows us to progress. And I think I'll kick it back to Safer now, but like, as he alluded to right on the jump, it's like that highly collaborative nature of how this set was made is, I think, going to be reflected in the cards people see.
Yeah. In terms of like, what should players expect from it? I think it would be higher quality sets on a more expected cadence in a couple years when the processes have had time to not even mature, just like the lead time for the processes to take effect happen. Like Vantage Point came together really quickly. We really don't want to be needing to put together a set from start to finish within like an 8-month window again.
Yeah, I'd say also it's also our first time messing around with a much more structured like A/B team dynamic where like the org can be really seriously working on incubating, designing, and developing multiple sets at the same time.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. We're going to be seeing more cards more frequently, ideally, of a higher quality. Who could ask for more?
Give us a year or two for that to manifest, but yeah.
Yes.
Once it'll roll out over time. Yep. Just real quick, you don't have to explain why. You don't have to give any reasoning, but any banned cards you think might be unban worthy after Vantage Point?
I will not name names, but effectively what we started with as the premise for ban list testing this time around was, okay, what can we unban? And just unbanning as many things that is possible.
Ooh, spicy.
Excellent. Justice for Banhar.
That is the end of our Into the Depths segment. We're going to do a high and tight quality time. For those of you who are listeners of Mythos Busters, you will recognize the phrasing there. Nick, here we go. Ba-ba-ba is
Quality time. Quality time. We're singing a song.
It's the song. Okay, now we're here.
I'm so sorry, y'all. My partner's calling me. They need help with something. I'm going to have to jump a little early here. I'm sure Safer can carry on without me. Thanks so much, y'all.
All right. Thanks. Let's start with our guest, at least one of our guests, Safer. This is a segment where we talk about things that are not Netrunner that we are enjoying in our lives. Safer, what are some of those things for you?
So there's a new TFT set out. TFT standing for not Team Fortress 2, not the Frozen Throne, the Warcraft 3 expansion, but Teamfight Tactics. It is super fascinating. I really, really love Teamfight Tactics as a game, but I also follow it as just like a designer because the lead designer is very, very vocal and very transparent, and it's just super interesting to see. It's kind of like a digital card game in a lot of ways. And this new set is like basically the first time in like 3 or 4 years that they've added what could be like a core new innovation to the game. And it's super fun to experience that and see it happening as a both like fan of the game, but also as like a designer.
Isn't this something you've gotten the Snare Bears into like en masse?
I wish that it was more like, like I've definitely gotten Jeff into it 100%. So,
okay.
And Analyze Chris as well when like in the summer when he had a little bit more free time, I want to recruit more people. But yes, like TFT is I think like a lot of Netrunner players will enjoy TFT.
Is it costed? Oh,
it's free to play.
Yeah, I think it's free to play, and I think all the other stuff is cosmetic. Am I right? Like,
yeah, it's free to play. Like all the stuff is cosmetic. Like there's no, like it's very much like you jump into game. You have all of the tools at your disposal that you need to play the game at the same level as anyone else. I will say it's very knowledge based, and it is a very unique game. So like learning it is hard. It is a really large like learning curve. If you have a friend that can teach you, have the friend teach you because they'll save you hours.
Wait, why does it want me to install League of Legends?
Because you play through the League of Legends clients.
Oh, gross. Okay.
I could also do a day-long talk around Warcraft 3 mods and how they have ended up being like the majority of
other
games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I remember playing those. I was a big StarCraft, the side maps.
You can think of
player. That was my jam.
Think of it that way, right? Where in the way that you would play Dota would be by loading up Warcraft 3, and there would be people who loaded up Warcraft 3 and bought the game who literally never played the campaign, never played multiplayer.
Right.
Didn't engage.
Yeah, they made that map builder too good.
I mean, yeah. And okay, I'm going to nerd out a tiny bit real quick. So Dota, a MOBA from Warcraft 3, Dota 2 is now this MOBA that's a standalone thing, has a map editor. Someone makes Dota Auto Chess, making the auto chess genre. So as a mod of the mod of Warcraft 3. And then League of Legends, which is of course directly inspired by Dota, then is also able to basically implement something that is like auto chess because they have the exact same resources that would need to make the game. So the mod of the mod inspires this other similar game that then makes its own mod, and then that mod actually sometimes ends up dwarfing the original game.
And they end up being like genre. That's the wild thing
Yes.
to me is that like it isn't just, oh, somebody made a game and like now there's, you know, a bunch of games that are kind of like, no, it's like the auto battler, the auto chess kind of thing is its own genre. Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, the survival like crafting game started as a Arma mod, you know, like it's cool.
Maybe some
Modding's
video game
cool.
historians to get on. I'm sure there's books about this stuff already, but
There is. Yeah, cool. TFT.
TFT is great. I've been playing Metroid Prime 4, which Metroid Prime is like my favorite. Probably one of my Melee, but like the favorite single player GameCube game. Metroid Prime 4 is fine and nice for nostalgia, but probably not a recommend on its own without the nostalgia.
What's your favorite Metroid game then?
I mean, my favorite is just straight up Metroid Prime. I've even gone back and played Metroid Prime like 10 plus years later and like still really, really enjoyed it.
I've never played Prime. I grew up on Super Metroid, but I never played Prime.
I mean, I really like Super Metroid. For whatever reason, it's like the Metroidvania genre. Like I enjoyed Metroid Dread as well, like a lot. But like, I don't know, if I'm going to play a Metroidvania at this point, like it's probably not Metroid.
Yeah, no, it was a Genesis point, but things have evolved.
Yeah, I guess the last thing is like Court of Thorns and Roses. I've been listening to that on audiobook. It was recommended to me, and I was like skeptical at first, and I was like, oh my god, no, this is actually really, really good.
I believe my wife has read those and has recommended them. Are they romantasy?
Yeah, it's definitely romantasy.
Okay. Not opposed to that, by the way.
I mean, you shouldn't be. Romantasy, I think, is a great.
Well, I think there's a bunch of maybe predominantly male audience for those who are turned off by the fact that there's some romance, like a large part of romance in there.
I mean,
that they think it's more like feminine or something, but
there's been a lot of changes around that, I think, in terms of like the broader cultural side of things. So
yeah, and you know, if anyone is like sitting there and going like romance not for me, I would just say like, do you like rom-coms? If your favorite TV show is like The Office or something, their entire thing is like a
Jim and Pam.
Yeah, exactly. Like romance is just
were you like ew every time they were on screen? No,
right. And so like
we're not.
I think it just comes down to how it's handled in the book. Like how is like the contents handled? Do the characters feel like realistic? What's the emphasis on stuff? How does it relate to the story? Like if something feels contrived, then you can like tell that it feels contrived. And like this series to me has not had any of that like at all. Comparing it to, oh god, what's the other one? Like Fourth Wing. I also listened to Fourth Wing and also enjoyed it, but there was definitely parts in it where I was like, honestly, there were scenes that I just skipped because I was like, I just don't care. That's not why I'm here for this book. Whereas the Court of Thorns and Roses series, like everything feels like very, I don't know, like more mature. Like for me as like a 30-something-year-old person, like I'm like, this is the kind of romance I can get into.
Cool.
I see. Anything else?
I have a Kickstarter coming for like a cat game that I made with Ink Games that is something that I've been working on recently that I'm really excited about.
And it is called
Super Chonk. It's about you play as a cat where you're trying to get fat.
Super Chunk. Nice.
Yeah.
My kids are gonna love it.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
A common phrase that I hear daily is "what a chonky baby" around our house, as all three of the other members of my family constantly say it. Oh, the chonky baby.
The chonky baby. Yes. Yes.
Very cool. That's exciting. So a Kickstarter will be forthcoming, and we'll hear more about that.
Yeah.
When it's available. When did you say again?
When is it supposed to be? Is it like Q2 of this year? Maybe it's Q3. Ooh. I don't remember.
Either way, that's here before you know.
Yeah, it's coming up this year.
There's a link to it on Board Game Geek, but there's basically no information beyond what you gave. So
you seem to have reserved the name.
Yes. I mean, it is still like in development. It's still in the works, and so you know it'll be coming to Kickstarter this year. But like the art is in like progress currently.
Cats compete to eat the most kibble and become the chunkiest.
The perfectly chunky.
Nice.
Excellent.
We'll look forward to hearing more about that. Nick, let's hear from you.
Yeah, I have been playing a lot of Returnal, which came out on the PlayStation years and years ago at this point.
I can't believe how long ago. I thought it was like 2 years ago.
It was 2020 or 2021, something like that.
21, I believe.
Yeah. Been playing a lot of that. I have completed like the main story. I'm going around collecting the sun shards or something, sunface shards, something like that.
So Returnal seemed like something that I might actually be interested in. Can you give me like a 30-second pitch on why I should play this?
Sure.
So cool.
Roguelike third-person shooter, and the story behind it, I find the story fascinating. It's pretty weird, very weird, and mysterious. I have theories on what is actually happening in it. I don't know. I really enjoy that. The gunplay was fun. Most of the weapons are cool. Not you, the one that makes electric fences. That one's not cool.
Yeah.
But all the guns are cool and interesting, play differently. It's got the active reload system from Gears of War that was one of my favorites.
Ooh, I do love that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. It has Metroidvania elements to it. So
Okay.
Yes. Can I'm going to give a supplemental pitch because you missed something critical. It is Groundhog Day in space.
Yep.
I said it was roguelike.
Yeah, no, it's Groundhog Day.
Okay, fine.
It's super well done aesthetically as far as I turned it on last night because Nick had been talking about it. I've already played through it. The intro thing that happens and like when you die and you wake back up, it's like, whoa, it looks really cool. Also, it's third person shooter, but it's a bullet hell. It's like 3D bullet hell.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. All the projectiles move relatively slowly, except for the ones that don't. And it's just, dodging and finding your way through them and things. So,
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and upgrading your weapons. And then like putting your arm in like some alien thing that grabs it and then changes you and makes you maybe better.
Maybe.
or maybe not, but maybe better while making you bad in some other ways. And
and
sometimes it's just got a great aesthetic.
You just attach little parasites to yourself and they're helpful.
Yep.
Maybe helpful.
Until you get rid of them.
Yeah. And then they're less helpful.
That's my pitch.
Okay. It's a good pitch.
It is a very cool game.
I should play it. I don't know where I'm going to do it when I'm playing so much TFT, but I'll find a way.
Just start playing and it'll hook you and you won't be able to leave.
Oh, I still haven't finished Hollow Knight because I was playing so much Hades 2.
Go back to Hollow Knight first.
Yeah.
The eternal backlog.
What struggles we have in modern society.
I've also been reading the Farseer trilogy, which is an excellent series of books by Robin Hobb, which I believe is actually a pseudonym, I think. Anyway, a trilogy of books about like a medieval kingdom where there's weird magic, like, very hush-hush magic, not like everybody out there is a sorcerer, and most of the powers are like pretty low key. Like, the ability to see things from far away instead of like throwing fireballs and stuff. And it's about a kid who is the bastard son of the crown prince and eventually is going to get trained up to be an assassin for the king. But like no one can know and, all this other stuff. So it's really good. I am drastically like underselling this because it is like, it's this weird, like complicated political thing. There's all these different cultures and everything clashing against each other. The way the magic works is like very important to how the politics works. And there's this mysterious enemy who seems to be drawing on like a similar type of magic, but like in reverse. I just started the second book, so I am fairly sure I read these when I was a kid, but I don't remember them in enough detail. So been having fun going back through and being like, oh, right, yeah, you had to like do a bunch of drugs to do magic or something. I think it's cool.
The pseudonym thing is real. Margaret Astrid Lindholm Ogden is the real person's name who writes under Robin Hobb and Megan Lindholm, 2 different pseudonyms. Wow.
Well, there you go.
Neat. I will check it out.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's going on the list. Anything else, Nick?
No, those are the 2 big ones right now. I'm reading about ancient Rome, so I'm that guy now.
Yeah, you're still doing that. Oh, not still doing that's a new one.
Oh, I'm just adding that one in,
Yeah.
What does it mean to be that guy now?
The 40 mid 40s or in your 40s white guy who just goes around and is like, no guys, look, Donald Trump is more like the Grokkai brothers than he is like Sulla. Okay, you really need to like
and you're like
focus on that.
And I want none of this romantasy things. Put it back in the women's section of the bookstore.
No. I just, there was that meme about like, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And it's like once a day. And I'm like becoming that guy is what my last book that I read was about like the outbreak of World War I. And now I'm reading about Roman history. And then at some point after that, I assume I will read, I don't know, like a technical manual for a CB radio.
The real secret here is that Nick has always been that guy.
That is true, but it used to be more about like I would read the history of
The Pope?
Well, yeah, that was also a thing. No, I would read like the history of like elves in Lord of the Rings, and then the history of how that got written, because that's a 12-book series on its own. It's good. History of Middle Earth. Read it. Anyway,
Just add that to the list.
In your defense, history gets more interesting as you get older, I think.
yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
For my part, I have been busy on Neon Hustle, which is the side channel if you were not aware of Neon Static. There will be a link in the description of this if you want to go over there and hit subscribe to watch me mostly play video games. I think there's definitely, we streamed Dune Imperium here out of the studio on my a little bit after my birthday with Nick and Adam and Johnny, who the original Meek Informant podcast lineup. And I had a salty day. Nick and I aren't actually technically friends anymore.
That is true.
But Dune Imperium's good. And out of that, I have gotten the Dune Imperium board game app on both my iPad and my Steam client. That's right. I bought it twice.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So it's very smooth. I'm looking to not have a repeat experience to how badly it went for me the other day.
That's
So
fair.
I would like to play enough to actually have a bit of a way to employ a strategy in that game and to know the common pitfalls, which means that I won't be able to play it casually with anyone ever again, but that's fine.
Yeah.
On Neon Hustle, I've been playing Expedition 33, which is, of course, the game of the year at the Game Awards in a million categories and has been fantastic. As far as storytelling is concerned, it definitely relies a lot on like Final Fantasy tropes, cool combat with parrying, and maybe disrespecting my time a little bit, which is a thing I wish were avoided. Like, I wish I could speed up some of the walk around. And even as much as I do appreciate the story and the voice acting, like some of the time I have to spend in the camp talking to everybody.
Yeah. I do. Some of that got a little old. I will say, just from having followed along, you should wait until the end of Act 2 before you do any like going
Side.
Yeah, like big side questy stuff where you're gonna have to travel a long way to like go back, basically.
Yes, I understand. I'm not going to do any spoiler stuff here, but I understand there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And I last night went on to what I believe is completing Act 2. Didn't
Nice.
quite get there, but game takes a while, but it is worth it. Very cool. I mean, I literally cried on stream the very first time I played it, and while I am a person who is not opposed to crying, I don't do it all that often. The game got me emotionally.
Oh, yeah, that opening is
God
rough.
damn.
It's so harsh. Ugh.
Yeah.
It's rose petals.
So those are two big things. Yeah, when the petals all go up. Oh my God. I finished 11/22/63 by Stephen King. It was entertaining and fun and good. Good is questionable. Fun and entertaining. My goodness, does Stephen King like to repeat a phrase until you hate him for it? Like, the past is obdurate. Oh my God, Stephen. Find a thesaurus, please. And like using it as a major crutch to explain everything. That's my summary of that book. I started King of Ashes by S.A. Crosby on audiobook, which is completely different. And the cliff notes, if you're interested, to find out if you might be interested, is there's a well-to-do financial advisor who comes from more, let's say, blue-collar roots. I don't know if you know, is it a blue-collar? It's a crematorium, like a family who has established a crematorium. He went to go to college off of money from that business, went away, was successful, has to come back home. There's something bad happening at home, and like his family members are in trouble and stuff. And it's got me, but in a very different way.
Nice.
But it's good. Just fiction fun. And I guess that's basically what's been taking up my time. We missed out on Jake. Jake had to step out because we did talk a lot about Netrunner, which is good. That's why we're here. In the notes here, Jake wrote that he is into Hades 2, Gideon the Ninth, painting Babies for Gunpla, which I...
Baby's first Gunpla. Gunpla is like a model building thing.
Oh, cool.
I think it's a manufacturer or it might be a style,
Like
but they
Gundam?
do a lot of Gundam, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Gundam models and big old robots.
Yeah, getting into model building, cool. And then ONR cubing, which is a niche hobby if there ever was one.
I do know that he's definitely been really digging ONR ever since like PAX Unplugged.
Nice. That's awesome. I've never played it. I should at some point experience that.
I have played some ONR cards. in that wacky cube of
Yeah. In Bushi's Wild Ride.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. Cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, with that, thank you so much, Safer and Jake, even though you can't hear us, for joining us on the podcast tonight and talking about all this cool stuff and getting us hyped for Vantage Point. Really looking forward to seeing your work come to fruition and end up in our hands.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hyped. March 2nd. Let's go.
Mark your calendars. There will be, spoilers week leading up to that. By the way, it's exactly when I'm on vacation when spoilers weeks happen. So that'll be complicated. I'll figure that out. We might have to pre-record something.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Spoilers week starts on like the day I fly out for February vacation, and then the day I fly back is like the day before release. So
Good God.
that's cool. I saw it and I was like, oh, well, okay. But the next day, I think release day is our Monday night streaming night. So that'll be fun.
Good.
We'll have all the cards for our first stream, which is excellent. You've been listening to Neon Static. We've been your hosts, Eric Hayden and Nick Mason, and we've been joined by Safer and Jake. Thanks so much for listening. If you are a person who wants to comment on anything we've said, you can get in touch with us at neonstaticpod@gmail.com. We do appreciate your emails, comments that you leave on the YouTube version of this video or on Spotify, although it is harder for me to see them on Spotify. It doesn't notify me as well. Thanks so much for listening. We do have a Patreon if you want to support us. It is patreon.com/neonstatic. If you would like to be able to, for example, submit questions to Devin Design, maybe the next time we do one of these in about a year. Or maybe less. Ooh, spooky.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. Thanks so much for listening. Remember to run with your eyes closed. Nick, what can't they do when doing that?
What you can't see can't hurt you.
It's good.
That was
safe.
great.
It's safe. All right.
We got there.
Bye.
Bye.